Okay. Life is perfect. What's going on, guys? Just gonna get my gi on, okay? Right there. You get some training partners here in a second now. All right, guys. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Here we are. So fire the questions. This is the last Q&A of this week. Q&A is for, any problems you're having, anywhere you guys are getting stuck, okay? Butterfly have overhook. That's a good question. So a butterfly, you're going to beat with a half pass. So that's what we're going to be. I mean, it's not the only way. There's a few different ways, right? The first thing I try to do anytime my opponent has a butterfly and he has an overhook, that means I have an underhook. I like that fight because I feel confident I can win that fight. It just depends on how much you trust your butterfly pass. Some people do get swept there, it's just a matter of confidence, right? But he does have the advantage of having the butterfly hook, but I'm going to walk into that butterfly hook, and then I'm going to get rid of him. I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. So he has an overhook, either like that, he's holding his own collar, my collar. Sometimes he'll hold the belt. You can hold my belt over the top. Same idea, right? So I'm going to grab his lower back. And this is important. As I block his leg, 1, 2. Now, look at my right hip. That's the important run. I'm going to grab the back, and I'm going to walk my right hip to the ground. Okay, so I'm going to really drive my shoulder into his gut and walk my right hip to the ground. Now, what happens when I drop my right hip to the ground, I'm just going to get rid of everything else. So look at that. See that hook? I'll do it on this side right here so you guys can see. I'm going to fall to my left hip. You see how I got rid of that foot? So I'm doing that same thing on the other side. I got to get rid of his butterfly before I move because I can't move past his butterfly. So after I grab his lower back and I get in here, I'm going to start driving my leg in. Now it's important that I'm driving off my toes. This is not comfortable on him because now what I did is I broke his shell. Good butterfly. Joey has to be in this position right here with his knees up and his feet up close to his butt, his shoulders close to his knees, right? That's a strong butterfly. Anytime I get him flat on his back, this is no longer a good butterfly because it's broken. It's very easy for me to drive him, drive past that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten him out by grabbing the lower back and driving my shoulder into his gut. And at the same time, I'm going to get rid of that far butterfly hook, and I'm going to put my hip to the ground. Sometimes I get past both his feet, which works really well in my favor because now I don't even have to deal with this one. So that means I'm going straight into side control. I'm not even going to half guard. Normally, this leg gets stuck on this side. So here's the thing about this half guard pass. If my arm is too far out there, my head is too low, look where my hand is behind his head. You guys see my hand there? That means he's kicking omoplata me, potentially triangle me, right? Let's go through omoplata so everyone can see. It's right there, right? Because my arm is too far away. So what I have to do is I have to drive off my toes, drive my shoulder across his chest. The key word here is pressure. Pressure doesn't mean squeezing. It means using your weight intelligently. So look at my toes. You got to drive. And I keep my chest somewhat low, and really I shift my weight on top of Joey. Also notice that I make him look away. So he would like to face me like he's facing me now because now he can push and shrimp. But if I force him to look the other way with my head, not only does it free up my left hand, he can't shrimp. So when I go in here, that's how I beat that, right? Normally they lock a half guard there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my butt up in there as I push his knee down. It's very important that I take my time here and I keep the pressure on the upper body very tight. Everything he does efficiently on his end has to do with him freeing his upper body. So once I free my knee and I get my right knee on the floor there on the other side, now I can hold on to the try not my head. Don't do that right there. A lot of people do that when they pass. Stay close. I have a much better position when I stay close. Okay. So the main thing is that you learn how to rotate your hips to get rid of the butterfly as you drive to half. Worst case scenario, if you don't pass the guard, at least you got rid of the butterfly guard and his overhook. Depending on who you're going against, that might be his move. Personally, for me, for the bottom, it's one of my favorite positions. When I play guard, I give overhooks. I like people trying to drive past my hooks because I like that fight, okay? But, not everyone does. It depends on who you're going against. All right? Next question. Best way to break a body lock when an opponent is behind you? Assuming standing. Matt, you want to just rephrase that question for me? I'll go on to the next question. You can just retype it. Just give me a better idea of where we are. What are some good grips and angle sequences you create for takedowns? So let's get into takedowns a little bit. All right, get over here, Joey. So in terms of takedowns, a lot of it has to do with what are your setups, right? So for example, one thing I started getting into more more towards the end of my career was when I grip across, I don't go here and I'll go over. And I'm always, it's a height thing because I'm taller than most people I end up going against. I have an advantage if I go over and I'll grip the belt, right? Now, anytime I do this, I have to trust my hip throw. I have to trust my uchimata, and I have to trust my single defense because I'm putting myself into a position where you can grab that single. He's right there, grab that single. So I have to be able to trust that I can win this fight, right? So this is one idea. So if I grip the belt here, I have control over him. I actually like when they grab that single. When he grabbed that single grab, I can start I actually carry him around with that belt, and by pulling his tricep in, and now I can start hit tossing him, right? So I actually have a good position. You get a good judoka, and you got to be careful on that single because they will toss you, right? It could be uchimata as well or mule kick in wrestling. But all of it has to do with what? Me loading Joey up with the belt and the arm. So his heels come off the ground there, right? It's not because I'm strong. It's just the mechanics of it. I can just blow your shot, right? I want to get in that single double. If one doesn't grip your collar. The second Joey grips my collar, my shot's neutralized. It's very difficult to get underneath him because even when I change levels, he follows me. Okay, so I don't like him gripping my gi because it's very difficult to get on a shot when they're gripping your gi. So one option is to hand fight him here. As he reaches, I back out. I have to stay a little more active, and I start going for my feints. I love the feints because the feints do what? They make him stop believing my shot. Oh, he's just feinting. He's not really going. And when he least expects a hand fight, I can take that shot. But if you like your shot, don't let him grip your gi. It's very important, especially the collar. If he wants to hand fight and grip the sleeves, it's a different story. Don't let him hold on to this because this will stop the shot. Okay? What else? Let's say this guy wants to exchange grips with me. Let's say we're in an even position, right? And I just started doing this sort of recently, is I started using this collar to pull and to push. So when I push, it's almost like a tie clinch, like I'm pushing on his neck, and then I pull on that foot. What I'm always trying to do is get as much weight as possible on that leg or that leg, right? Anytime I get a lot of leg on one leg, I can start fighting that leg and get him down. Anytime I get a lot of weight on that leg, I can take him this way. But in both cases, I'm doing what? I'm manipulating his upper body. A lot of footwork. My footwork makes him light. That's a very important thing, too. Don't try to muscle him. He steps with me. When I go forward, he goes with me. When I pull, so I can start setting up those angles, position him where I want him to go based off of what? Based off of my own movement. So the movement is initiated with my footwork, not with my arms. The more active you are with your feet, movement we create. Now, think of this fight right here as dancing, right? In dancing, typically the man leads, the woman follows, right? It's almost like if I take the lead, I am the one setting the rhythm. I'm the one that's going to be able to set up the takedowns. If Joey follows the lead, what happens is he's the one who's always fighting. so I can be in a position to execute one of my throws, right? So that's why the hand fighting is so important. Long story short, you have to develop the coordination not to let your opponent grip the grips that they want while you establish yours. You have to find your grips and not give the ones that you don't like, that you don't want to your opponent. So be aware of offense and defense is what I'm saying, okay? All right, so standing. All right, Matt, let's go back to that body lock on the back now. So what to do when Joey's standing behind me and he has the body lock? There's a few different options. One of them is the kimura. All right, so a kimura is like I press his hand down, I try to wrench his elbow up, right? A lot of times it doesn't break his grip. Sometimes it does, but if it doesn't, you shouldn't count on it to break, right? But if I get strong in this kimura, it's very hard for him to attack my back, and I have the option of hip tossing him here. I'm not going to do it now. I don't want to throw Joey, but I'll be doing very much like a harai goshi. I lean heavy on that kimura, and then I'm going to sweep the foot. So when I finish my sweep, I land on top of Joey. Here's the problem. A lot of times when I land more or less around his rib cage. So this, you can break his ribs on the way down. You got to be careful when you practice this. You can actually, that's a little more ambitious. If you want to keep it simple, especially if they have a gable grip, which is normally what they have, I'm going to fight the top hand. The top hand is always the one I'm fighting. So in this case, Joey has his right hand on top. I'm going to get the thumb right where the gable grip is on the thumb, and I'm going to peel it on my right leg. And at the same time, when I peel, it's a push. I'm thinking about unscrewing Joey's hand. Think of a rotational movement on the hand. Is when Joey gets that. That's the motion. So I'm unscrewing his hand. I got to get that rotation. That's what's going to get him to let go. And it's important that my follow-up is there, because if I just break the grip and don't do anything about it, and I let go, it's just going to connect again. So once I get that right there and I push it down my leg, and I'm going to walk my hip forward a little bit to add pressure. I keep the hand. I'm able to square up with him, right? I turn my defense into offense, but I keep the hands for as long as I can. The long story short, when they have the body lock on the back, what you want to be doing is unwrapping that hand. You want a circular motion down your leg, okay? Don't try to muscle his hand. The mistake you guys make is that you want to fight his whole arm. Fight the thumb. Fight the thumb. The thumb opens the whole. So instead of fighting his arm by trying to move his arm, focus on moving the thumb. You get the thumb to move, everything else will fall apart. Once you're done splitting his hands, make sure you keep them both under control so you can square up with your opponent and not be in a bad situation, okay? One option. It's not the only one. There's some other ones, okay? It's just two off the top of my head. All right. Best way to defend against Anaconda or Darce. I am not a big fan of showing submission escapes, because